Do you remember what it felt like when you realized that you were homeless?
Scary.
You might have remembered me telling you that you need to embrace your homelessness.
That was a big reality. And in those days, I was still coming to the terms that I was an addict. Shanna was new on the scene. She had just graduated from the program. And she was like, I just went through this program. She was like, you really need to stay. She's like, it's not going to be easy. It's probably going to be one of the hardest things you do. She said, I just graduated. The payoff is more than worth it.
So you actually didn't graduate. So why not?
I thought I had it all together.
Now, I halfway expected her at some point to knock on the door, and I don't think pride was going to let that happen.
Nope.
But here we are.
In the notes that you sent to our producer, you actually said that you are still a success story.
I am.
Yeah, you are. So
She
tell
is.
us why that's so important.
I'm still a success story because I utilized all the tools that I learned. Like, it was such an impactful 2 years for me. I am now 2 years and 10 months sober. I got a promotion at work. And then last Friday, signed the papers. I just bought a house.
No shit. Sorry.
I just
Oh
bought
my
a whole
God.
house.
Do you know how happy that makes me? I'm so proud. Did you know this?
Yes.
Well, I guess you must have known this. That is so good. That is so good. And you did that.
I did that.
You did that.
Yeah. I honestly wouldn't be where I am today without you guys. Like, it is like a family, and it's all in what you do with it.
Hi everyone, I'm Tracy Lewis with Imagine Marketing, and in a moment I will be turning things over to Pastor Scott, who is the founder and CEO of Matthew's Hope, as well as Shelley Bradford, who is the president and executive director of Matthew's Hope, and they will be joined by Janine, who is a former guest of Matthew's Hope. Welcome to this week's episode of Straight Talk No BS with Matthew's Hope, presented by Imagine Marketing. At Imagine Marketing, we put in the extra effort to craft a tailored strategy for success. Book a free consultation today. In this episode, we will continue our Real Faces of Homelessness series with Janine. Shelley, take it away.
All right. Thanks, Tracy. So Janine, thank you so much for joining our podcast. Let's start from the beginning. What actually led to you becoming homeless?
What led to me becoming homeless was my daughter's father was still in active addiction, and stemming from what we were doing together. We had DCF involved, and I needed to make a choice of either staying in the situation that we were in with him, or taking Bella and leaving. So that's what I did.
Do you remember what it felt like when you realized that you were homeless?
Scary.
I
Petrifying.
actually remember the first time meeting you. We've talked about this a couple of times, when you just were sitting in your car and you had your head down, like you were done. Like you were defeated and you knew you needed to do something. I remember that.
Yep.
I remember that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was Miss Charlene. The day that I came, that I pulled in, was Miss Charlene. I don't know. She came out at some point and I just kind of lost it at that point. Like, I just felt like everything kind of came off my shoulders. Like, I still believe God brought me to where I needed to be. And I think that was like the confirmation of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when she went in and.
It's kind of funny that, those of you that don't know, Charlene's my better half. And when you talk about God bringing you at the right place at the right time, I also think that Charlene was the right one of us to walk out to that car that day.
Yeah.
Knowing my personality, yours is much softer, but Charlene has that place that she goes with many of our guests that, I like to believe that I'm a better person than I am. But yeah, that memory just clicked really hard with me that, yeah, she was the right person to walk out there.
Absolutely.
And as a single mom at the time herself, she was able to go, okay.
Meet me where I'm at.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
So how did you find out about Matthew's Hope, or even know to go there for help?
So that summer before, I came to Matthew's Hope the end of October of 21. That previous summer of 2021, I was in outpatient rehab, And the lady there knew our situation. I had a desire at that point. I didn't know what it looked like to become sober. I was almost to that point, and she knew about my living situation, and she was the one. She's like, "Oh, have you heard of Matthew's Hope?" And I'm like, "Nope, have not." Right. And she's like, "Oh, they're in Winter Garden." And I had only been here for 2 years before that, like in Florida. So I'm like, I don't know where that's at. So she made a call down to the office, and when I was there, and they had informed her that intake was Tuesdays and Thursdays. And like I needed to be signed up for services before that conversation could even happen. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I just kind of cataloged that and kept it moving in addiction. And then when things got really bad, I was like, oh, wait a minute. Like, I know these tools. Like, I remember. And it was a Wednesday. And I'm like, well, they're not open. So I'll go tomorrow. That's what I did.
And how long were you homeless?
About 60 days. So my version looked a little different because I worked still. I've always worked. So I worked overnight. So when I got off of work at like 6, 7 in the morning, I would just stay in my car all day. I would get Bella off the bus and bring her to her dad's. That way she didn't have to be in there with me. And then I would just stay there and then go into work that night. So it looked a little different than the normal, like out on the street during the day kind of thing. But yeah. That's where I was.
It's funny. She says it looks a little normal. And what's really interesting is how much more common that has become, especially pretty much this last year. Mm-hmm. A lot has changed in our economy and services that are available out there.
Yeah.
So we're seeing a lot more families and particularly single moms that are doing exactly that.
It's hard.
The child going to school is their moment that they can try to get some rest in a very unrestful situation, like trying to sleep in your car.
Absolutely. In the Walmart parking lot, for sure. That's,
Scott, do you remember your first interactions with Janine?
It's for me, it was, go ahead. I want to hear your version because this might help me out a lot. No, it's okay. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
I just remember, okay, so you weren't there. So when I went in on Thursday, I believe Miss Charlene had to call you because you weren't anywhere in this area. Yeah. And then you were on the phone and she kind of just like pitched it to you of why I needed to say. And then you came that following week. And I was like, okay, he's not going to play around. So of course I had to push that boundary a little bit.
Cuss me in her pillow a little bit. No, look, you can't offend me. And I think this is important for people to know also that there's decisions you have to make along the process that even when the tough guy steps in and says, kind of lays down the law, as much as you may or may not like it or feel uncomfortable, or sometimes people are offended by that you still have to step back and go, but where do I want to be?
Right.
Where I'm at, where do I want to be?
And I think that, I've always been a reasonable, I guess you could say, person where I knew like I wasn't the only one in that kind of situation. And even though I didn't know at that time just how many people like you come into contact with, how many people have been through the program, I had enough sense to know like this wasn't your first intake. And, I know too that it was hard, like to admit that I needed help. Right. Yeah. And I needed to just be knocked down a few notches and, kind of reality checked. And you were there to do that. It wasn't in a mean sense. It wasn't in a nasty, condescending. It was like an authoritative, like a father figure.
Part of it was a father figure and one addict talking to another.
Right. Okay. As I got to know you more. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So then it was, once I knew that, then it was like, okay, he's been here.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. I remember one of the things I do remember very clearly is the level of shame that you felt.
I'm still dealing with
And
that.
and I wanted to lift that off you so bad without, I wanted you to feel that uncomfortableness without it breaking you.
Yeah.
And that's a very hard line. And that's where a lot of times with folks, especially like Janine, that has a lot of things going for them, but then they have this over here.
Yeah.
And you don't want to stop the good things going on, and you don't want to destroy them by getting them to face reality. You might have remembered me telling you that you need to embrace your homelessness.
Yes. Yes. Like that was a big reality for sure. Like, I mean, even, and in those days, I was still coming to the terms that I was an addict. Like, I'm not an addict.
Yeah.
I've got this.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? I have a car. I have, and in reality, I had nothing. It just looked good, But yeah, that day was something else. Because Shannon was new on the scene. She had just graduated from the program. And she was new as far as, I think, just being hired.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like making that transition. So she was doing intakes loosely. And so we were sitting, and I say loosely because we were in the middle of the main area, like in between showers and all that. And she was like, I just went through this program. She was like, you really need to stay. And she's like, it's not going to be easy. It's probably going to be one of the hardest things you do. She said, but I'm telling you, the payoff, she said, I just graduated. The payoff is more than worth it if you stay.
So speaking of, you stayed. So what were some of the expectations that us at Matthews Hope actually had for you?
Oh, okay. It was
like part of the program.
The very first thing was I had to quit my job, which I had been working since literally the day I turned 16. So surrendering that was hard. It was house inspections. That was a big one. Let's see here. No money. Yeah, no money. Like no money, no means of money. Working inside of the building, that was an expectation. Weekly sit downs, goals. Yeah.
So I'm going to roll back just a little bit because, she first brought it up.
Oh, 90 and 90.
Oh, I was waiting for that.
Oh, for the love of Christ.
I was waiting for that.
90 and 90.
And before we get too far away from this, I think people would be interested to know, why did she have to quit her job?
Well, a couple of things I'm going to touch on it. We'll touch on that too, but also I will say that, talking about God's intervention in this, the fact that Shannon was just out of the program and just coming on board as an employee, doing kind of the bare minimums of what you do when you first start with Matthews Hope, but that it was Shannon who sat in front of her and said, you need to do this, and here's why. And Shannon being, again, an addict, a single mom that actually lost her kids to DCF because of her situation, along with other things, was like the perfect person for her to next see.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now I remember the 90 and 90, and she's like, oh my God, and how am I going to have time for that? How am I going to get there? And I said, well, you're going to do it just like everybody else has.
Sure did. Okay. Exactly verbatim.
And that's, and that's what we threw at her. And the thing is, she had a chance. I tell people all the time, I'm sure my name gets cussed into a pillow often. Sometimes not even in the pillow. But I just tell them, I don't really care as long, I prefer you do it in your pillow so I don't have to hear about it. But I could see there was a sense of being overwhelmed.
Oh, yeah.
A sense of being trapped because what's my option too? There wasn't one. Okay. And you're telling people, blah, blah, blah. The job was a big one.
Yeah.
She pushed back really hard on that. And I know that may sound odd to people that we would have somebody quit a job, but we felt that in her particular case, to get her where she needed to be to become completely independent and self-sufficient, was we needed to literally break her down to the very rawest of raw and start over.
Mhm.
We don't have to do that all the time, but in her case, we really felt that way. And there was a lot of internal conversation about, we're asking someone to leave a job. And I go, yeah, I know. And it's a big ask, but in the long term, it's going to be so much the right thing so that she can fully focus on herself and
If I
her little
remember
girl.
correctly, wasn't that part of what got you where you were?
More or less. I mean,
Yeah. That particular job.
that job I had gotten because of my daughter's father.
Mhm.
His mom worked there, so that it just wasn't a good environment
Mhm.
at
Mhm.
all. So yeah, that
Mhm.
was
You thought it was a security blanket or a safety blanket, and it
Absolutely.
really wasn't.
because it was something better than nothing. So
Right,
that's
right.
always, that was, I won't speak that now. That was always my thought. Something better than nothing. Got to
Sure.
have a job.
Sure.
So
And I think that sometimes, I hear people all the time, they'll see we're looking for volunteers or that we have a project going on and we need somebody involved, and they'll go, well, why aren't you making them do it? Well, first off, they are doing
we
it.
are.
And so much more. But unless you were either part of the program or you volunteered on a lengthy period of time or possibly went through a tour with us, you would never see that or know that. But there's pieces to all that, because we want to also observe how you're interacting with other people. What's your work ethic? How bad do you really want this? I mean, there's not much you can't get from Matthew's Hope, but it's not going to be handed to you.
Right.
It's the opportunity is going to be laid in front of you, and this is how you get there and what you want to do with it from there. Now, I will tell you, and I know we have other questions that were prepared for us, but I want to slip this in here, is that her daughter, Bella, I fell in love with, first off. I haven't seen her in some time. I just saw a picture of her, and I'm praying for you. Okay.
Thanks.
You have every reason to put a shotgun by the door.
Absolutely.
But Bella was 10, 11 at the time, and just adorable to me. But there was something about her, the level of enthusiasm and joy in a child that was in a very joyless situation. And that's one thing you did really well. It wasn't that you hid your circumstances from her, though you may have at times. The other side of it, though, is that you made it as normal as it could possibly be. And then the time came to where I said, we also need to make sure Bella understands this is a team effort.
Mm-hmm.
That was a tough one for you as well, because again, it wasn't, I hate using the word hiding. She was just trying to make sure that Bella was in what she believed the best situation possible for Bella's head to get around. And what I discovered is that Bella had the full capabilities of understanding this. But the way it first came about, my relationship with her, was I was walking out of my office one day, and she's sitting across the room in front of like an iPad or something. And all of a sudden she goes, yeah, something like that. And I'm going, what the heck is she watching? I walked over there. She says, what are you watching? She goes, I'm watching wrestling.
Yeah, it was the third computer that was in the back there.
She's watching wrestling, and she starts going on. Now, I knew a little bit about wrestling, but she's telling me these moves and what's going to happen, and then you're going to do this, and then you did a triple Dixie on her, and I'm going, what in the world is going on here, and how? But again, you look at the God peppering through this. That was an opportunity for me then to build a relationship with Bella and to talk with her at her level, but a very mature young level.
Yeah.
Okay.
She was always very mature. I mean, she is very mature.
And that's part of the challenge sometimes, because you also have, there's maturity levels that you can be, you can be a 26-year-old 1 minute and a 12-year-old the next.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the challenge you run into a lot of times, especially with kids that have come through this type of trauma. They were forced in many ways to grow up, and things that you took for maturity often were survival instincts.
Absolutely.
There's all these other things that were playing into it. But being able to connect her, I mean, we just became, I can honestly say we became friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
it was very strange, because she would come into my office sometimes and she'd sit down and she'd say, Pastor Scott, how are you doing? And I'm going, where's this kid? She's coming here asking me how I'm doing. Or she'll say, you seem like you might be having a hard day. Do you want to talk?
How are you really doing?
Yeah, how are you really? Yes. How are you really doing? And she would say that. And, I think that people need to understand that a child coming through that is very easy to become a second generation of homelessness, or even deeper. I've seen third and fourth generation. I don't see that happening. I do see she's going to be a handful for you.
I pray every
that's
day.
Teenagers, and they're going to test you to the limit. And I've got a couple of things I told you already to ask her about that I ask about.
Absolutely.
And tell her she can call me. I can be glad to discuss it with her. But I think it was very important at the time too, is that Bella needed to understand also the circumstances of what was happening with her and her mom.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Along with the challenge of a father who was continuing to use.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. And Janine trying to figure out, how do I navigate that? I don't want to not have her have a relationship with her father,
right,
but I also don't want to endanger her. And this is, again, a challenge that many, especially when a family comes out of both parents became addicts. Yeah. And the one decides to finally say, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm ready to move on. As much as and painful as that is, and as hurtful as that can be, that's a big deal. That's a really big deal. Yeah. And I will commend you for trying your very best to always keep her as a key component to what the future looked like for her and for you.
Absolutely.
That's a big deal.
Yep. So were there any setbacks during your time in the Moving Forward program? Yeah.
I'll just sip my coffee right now. I want to hear this myself.
Please tell us.
Setbacks. Oh yeah. Quite a few. Quite a few times was I pulled in. I didn't have much in the way of skills in really any sense, except for survival. I knew how to survive. Interpersonal skills, yep, those sucked. Trying to get along with others, yep, that sucked too. So that was very hard. And then, just doing a lot of things probably like I thought I was getting away with, but I really didn't, and yeah.
We call them come to Jesus meetings, which usually is my involvement. I will usually get a phone call and say, Scott, this is one you're probably going to have to step into.
Oh, Lord. And you knew it was no good when Pastor Scott showed up at the building.
Yeah.
Isn't that the worst feeling?
Oh,
when we show up,
dreadful.
It's both of us. When one of us shows up, they're like, what's going on?
Yep.
And I'm like, can I
whether
not just
staff,
walk in?
volunteers, or guests. Yeah. It's like, what's wrong? What's going on? Nothing. I'm just staying low.
Yep.
What are some of the things that you were able to accomplish while being in the Moving Forward program?
Oh yeah, that far exceeds the hiccups for sure. So when I went into the program really quick, because of my past, I was facing a lot of legal issues. So going in, I was able to fulfill my probation, and all the fees that came along with it. My car got paid off. So my credit history started to improve. I got a foreclosure on my credit taken care of. So that helped as well. I learned how to manage my money better with the weekly budgeting with Miss Kim and how to save money. That went a long ways. That I think for honestly, the first year after I left, I was still budgeting $35 in my gas tank. I could not come off of $35 because it was just, $35. That's, you got to make it last, Janine. And I'm like, okay.
Well, so people understand also, I want to make sure people understand Matthew's Hope just doesn't pay things off for people.
No.
This is, we will negotiate with creditors, but and things like that. But ultimately, it's them working. So when you walk into our campus, you see people in that gray silvery shirt. Those are homeless men and women that are working their way forward, that are earning points as opposed to dollars, but those are backed by real dollars. And so what happened is we're budgeting as well. And she had a lot of little stuff, if I remember, but it was a lot that added up.
And that one big,
and then
lawyer,
and the big one, the attorney. Yeah.
But it is, and it's more than just somebody being able to come in Monday through Friday because we were expected to work after hours, sometimes on the weekend. I mean, if we did the cold shelters, you're working around the clock. And those bathrooms, I mean,
clean themselves.
I hated that.
Did
That
you?
was another, yeah, that was
I think
another
everybody
kickback.
hates that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate
It's
cleaning
being
my own
able
bathroom.
to like go into the shower with somebody and help them shower, and it's sometimes triggering. I mean, it depends on, the situation. So it didn't come for free. I mean, there was absolutely a lot of,
It wasn't easy.
No,
It wasn't easy.
And a lot of emotional rides up and down.
absolutely.
You mentioned helping someone else. And there's this part that's subconsciously in your mind, because I've been there. I remember when I helped bathe my first homeless man.
Yep.
And he's sitting in the shower on the floor. His name was Dirty Dan.
Oh, it was dirty.
But Dan sitting there looking at me, sitting on the floor. And this guy had been on a nuclear sub in the Navy, and was extremely smart, but had a hell of a drinking problem, and he had a lot of mental health issues. And I'm sitting in there helping him bathe as he's sitting in the bottom of the shower, and thinking to myself, really? This is what I'm supposed to be doing? But the other part that hit me was this could be me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's part of the purpose of walking through all this is we call it giving back, and try to give a little bit back because it reminds us where we were or could be,
right,
as opposed to where we are.
Absolutely. I mean, there was a lot that I took, not just in the physical sense, like just a lot of lessons I still use to this day. I mean, Michelle, you teaching me how to not parent Bella out of guilt. I mean, I'm getting better with that, and just redirecting myself on that every day. Being able to forgive myself, and that way it doesn't spill over, being firm with her.
I remember one of the conversations we had one time. She was being mouthy, and I asked you, I said,
Bella.
Oh, she was. I asked you, I said, are you going to be okay with her being that way when she's 16?
Yes.
And I remember a light bulb went off in your eyeballs, like, oh
Absolutely.
my gosh. I had never thought about that, because when they're 16 and they have more of a vocabulary.
Yep.
What in the world?
And that's absolutely something that I'm dealing with, today, and now because of that and learning those tools and learning how to navigate her, she very much is aware of herself now and just how much of that line she can toe, and she understands too, because of how I've corrected that, how she pulls herself back in, like, oh, okay. Because all I have to do is tell her, maybe you should reconsider that. Like, watch it. And she's like, oh, okay. All right. I'm going a little too far. So,
well, and as teenagers, first off, they're going to test that line as often as they can. But if you can, through how you're doing that, teach her where that line is and let her have an opportunity to pull back it up a little bit.
Like, reconsider what you're doing.
Yeah, that's part of just parenting. But part of what I think it's important people to understand too is that even when folks leave our program, we haven't left them. Whether they graduated, didn't graduate, there's time. We're coaching as needed, as they desire, trying to coach them through. Because it's not just one day you're homeless and you're not, everything's hunky-dory. There's still things to work through. And I would love to say that every 2-year program that we run with everybody has turned out fantastic. It just doesn't work that way. But it's real important to everybody to know that it's a process. That's why we have on our shirts, trust the process. It's a lot of different people speaking into your life from different angles and for different reasons. But you have to want to receive that.
That part.
And that's
huge.
Yeah.
Because it is. My whole life has changed. Like, my perspective, my day to day, I honestly wouldn't be where I am today without you guys. Like, it is like a family, and it's all in what you do with it, right? How you approach it. Yeah. Was I not happy in the beginning? Absolutely. That's hard. being an adult and having everything stripped away. Like you are down to the bare basics, you know?
So let's talk about graduation. So you actually didn't graduate. So why not?
She did not.
Why?
I did not.
Why did you make that choice?
Because she's stupid.
Because I,
No.
I mean,
No.
So I did not do things right. Like I thought I had it all together. I had a year and a half of sobriety. And like I said, I thought I had it all together and I really didn't. I will be transparent. I did relapse while I was in the program. Given a second chance, I'll just put that out there. Probably mostly because of Bella.
She was your life.
Yeah. I've heard that quite a few times. Quite a few times. It wasn't for Bella. But I think I tried to do right, but I don't know what it was after that. I felt like there was a few different things that I felt within that. It got harder, which made me push back a little bit more. But yeah, and at that point, I just wasn't following the rules and I had to go.
You know, I'm usually the guy that has to sit there and go, it's done. It's over.
Mm-hmm.
And which really sucks because I did not start Matthew Soap 16 years ago to put people on the streets, especially people that I have come to love and care for. But because I love and care for, there's times where you finally have to say, well, the best chance for you to do is let you go out there and fall on your face and smash, one of two things will happen. One of three things will happen. One, you might come and humble yourself and come back and say, what can I do to get back in? Two, take what you learned and set your course based on what you've learned. Or three, you fall back into where you came from. And therefore, I will see you the next few years until we finally put a really nice, cute little brick in front of our place, the memorial garden, with the date of your death. So those are the three things that happen.
I chose B. Option B. I did option B.
So how exactly did you feel when Janine left?
Awful.
Yeah.
I mean, any time I've done this, I think it was more emotional for me personally, again, because of Bella.
Yeah.
Because I felt like Bella didn't have a say in this. And she's stuck, and it's not like Dad's going to run in on a white horse and want to save her. And I was angry, not at her, but angry at the decision she was making because I knew she was better than that.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of, I just wanted to shake her and say, think about what you're saying because you're so much better than this. But it is not uncommon that when people get past that first year into a year and a half, that they decide to leave. And it usually is because I got this all figured out.
Yep.
And we won't talk people into staying. We will let you go.
Yeah.
If you choose to come back, then we'll talk about it then, but we will let you go because if I talk you into staying and it did not go the way you thought it should go, it's not your fault. It's my fault. Right. And so it's kind of like, hey, you want to run out Highway 50 with a blindfold on? You probably heard that one a couple times.
Yep.
Feel free. And where's God? He's sitting there shaking his head going, well, that's stupid.
Yep.
But now the pride, I hate to use that word, but the joy in me, if you will, is the fact that I knew shortly after that, a little while after that she was trying to keep all those pieces together. Mm-hmm. She was using what she learned. Mm-hmm. Now, I halfway expected her at some point to knock on the door, and I don't think pride was going to let that happen.
Nope.
Okay, but here we are.
So in the notes that you sent to our producer, you actually said that you are still a success story.
I am.
Yeah, you are. So
she
tell
is.
us why that's so important. And this is where you tell us your big news.
Okay. So I'm still a success story because I utilized all the tools that I learned in the 2.5 years. Yeah, 2.5 years that, or almost 2 years that I learned within there. Like it was such an impactful 2 years for me. And I learned so much. So I still have my job. So I'm coming up on 3 years in June at my job. I am now 2 years and 10 months sober. That is the longest that I have been any kind of substance free, probably since I was 13. I got a promotion at work. They kind of moved things around because I found myself in a situation where I might have had to change jobs. And I needed more money in order to compensate for this big thing. So the doctor I worked for, he was like, no, he was like, don't make any moves. He was like, just wait, let me talk to some people. So he talked to his people who talked to his people, and they got me a $2.50 more an hour raise. I am a senior lead MA at the office. So now I get to be in charge of people. And then I last Friday signed the papers. I just bought a house.
No shit. Sorry.
I just bought a whole house. A whole house.
That is so cool.
3 bedrooms, 2 full baths. It has a fenced in yard for Boo Boo because I took away Boo Boo from Pastor Frankie
Thank
from
you
the
so
program.
much.
I know. So it's got a fenced in yard for him. It came with a brand new roof, brand new AC system. They still have warranties on them. Washer, dryer. It's got a fancy refrigerator that has a freezer on the bottom. Like, that's really cool.
That's when it gets fancy. You know you've arrived, folks, when the freezer's on the bottom.
Not on the top.
It's so cool. It's got cathedral ceilings.
Gosh.
And I've just done really good with my money. I had like a little nest egg saved up. I mean, I still had like, I'll be transparent, $3,000 when I left the program from everything like saved up.
After everything's paid off.
Yeah. And I still had that like a year and a half later. Like, I didn't touch it.
Well, you're only spending $35
on gas. Like, I did. Yeah.
Oh, do
So,
you know how happy that makes me? I'm so proud. Did you know this?
Yes.
Oh well, I guess you must have known this.
yeah. I mean, I
That is so good. That is so good. And you did that.
did that.
You did that.
I did that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You know, we do get better. We do recover.
Yeah. That's why I say I'm still a success story, even though I didn't graduate. You know, I took all the tools that I learned from this program, and I tell everybody, I don't recommend it. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like if certain people could get themselves to where they would surrender and do right, that it's absolutely something everybody should do, but it's not for everybody. I know that.
It's not.
So I don't recommend it, you know, certain people I would, but, you know, you have to be willing at some point to be like, all right, you know, what can I gain from this? And like I said, it's all in God too, because when I came in, I already, you know, knew about him, right? I knew the impact he could have on my life.
But knowing about him and knowing him,
2 different
very
things.
different. Very different.
You have to be able
And I have
to.
no doubt he's walking with you right now. My
Absolutely.
goodness.
And I'm only like 15 minutes from Shannon. Like, this is a whole family. And
Well, I'll
that's
bring
the
the value
way
of your house down.
you know, this is
Shannon,
like a
if you're
whole
listening.
family. You know, I still come in from time to time. Like, in the beginning is because I still had mail. So that's how y'all got me to show up from time to time in the beginning. But then, you know, when life is hard, and it hasn't been an easy couple years, life still gets lifey. And being able just to, quote, come back home, you know, get all the hugs, get some more like little life lessons, some little, you know, slaps on the butts, keep you going, you know, like, that's everything. Knowing that you have like a whole family to come back to.
And we will always be your family.
Like, that's huge. Like I told Shannon about the house. Like, she was the first to know. And she remembered like 6 weeks later, she's like, it's closing day. And I'm like,
She remembers everything.
She does. She's
Like
kind
an
of a pain in the ass.
yeah.
she remembers everything, which makes me feel like I don't know anything anymore. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
well,
Are
you
you-
definitely have a family in Matthew's Hope and always will. And, you know, if I had to be the dad guy sometimes, the mean guy or tough guy sometimes.
Everybody played an essential key, part in my recovery and in my success story. Everybody did. Every single person, even the guests, I still see them from time to time. I have my boss the other day, she was like, oh, these people came over and said that there was like a homeless person in the back and they want them removed. And I'm like, well, what are they doing? They're just back there. And I'm like, why are we going to I don't understand. Like, what is the issue here? And I'm like, why would you want to remove them?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we know that, you have some experience with this. So if you think, I said, just leave them alone, unless it becomes like,
So
an
look, if it's
issue.
a problem, it's a problem. Okay.
I mean-
a problem is not someone there.
No, I mean, she
if
was
they're-
nice enough. She gave me, she gave me two little rafts, like water rafts. She had them.
One
And
for
her
you
little-
and one for Bella.
Absolutely. I
This
mean,
is the homeless person you spoke
Yeah.
to? Gave you 2 rafts?
yeah. I thought it was
Okay.
really nice.
All right.
So what exactly is
Yeah.
something?
She met me before I walked into work. She just asked me if I had kids. I told her I did. Told her it was just one. She said, well, I have 2. So she gave me 2 little water rafts. So I'm like, you know what? I appreciate that.
I'm curious, did you share at all that you'd been homeless?
She didn't sit still very much.
Okay.
So she
Okay.
just kind of dropped them off.
Just
kept it
curious.
going.
Because I still think, Janine, I believe with my whole heart that the time will present itself along the way that you're going to come across that person that needed to come across you, that God ordained meeting, if you will,
Absolutely.
that they're going to need to hear someone who's owns a house now,
owns a whole house.
has remained employed, raising a teenager on her own. It's a lot. Paying her debt, her car, paying off all, and for the most part, outside of the house, you're pretty much debt free.
Completely.
Which
Because
is
I had
crazy to be. I mean, I wish I could say that.
I paid so the car that I had when I came into the program, I got it totaled out last August. And then the settlement they gave me plus my little nest egg that I had, I was able to get the car I have now. I paid cash money for it. So then I didn't have
That's amazing.
that accident allowed my debt to income ratio to improve, which in turn got me into the house. So, it's God.
It's things are
It's
strange.
God and Matthew's Hope.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I tell people all the time, God uses Matthew's Hope as just we're a tool
Mhm.
that he has allowed people like Shelley and I and Charlene and Shannon and our whole team of incredible staff and volunteers to be used to speak into people's lives and to kind of help guide them. And I don't want to fool anybody. We see a lot of stuff and we see a lot of people that we really thought were going to make it. I call it the little train that could. You see it's just coming up over the top. And all of a sudden, and that's kind of how I looked at you at that time a little bit. You're right there. She's just going over the top, but the weight of the train is still back here. And all of a sudden, it just went.
Yeah.
But instead of going all the way back and just saying, okay, woe is me, this is my life, we cranked up the engine again and pushed forward. And for that, you should be very proud of yourself.
Yeah.
I am so excited and happy for you right now. I'm trying to think what we need to do for a housewarming gift. We have to come up with something.
Well, you know what we always say. We always say when our guests are success stories is when they invite us over for dinner. So I'm waiting for that dinner.
Okay.
Okay.
I got to get a
That you
dining
either
table.
cooked or you bought.
I think I know where you can buy one.
Oh, yeah. I got some inside connects.
What's she looking for?
A dining room table.
Yeah.
Oh, I know places.
Yeah.
So,
I know people.
what is something that you wish the general public knew about people experiencing homelessness?
That it doesn't all look the same.
Yeah.
Everybody has a different story.
Yeah.
Everybody struggles maybe a little bit differently.
Mm-hmm.
So not everybody's a drug addict. A lot of it is mental health, untreated mental health. And a lot of it's the economy. That is expensive,
Yeah.
and I'm just grateful.
I'm grateful for you.
I'm grateful for you.
All right, Janine, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your story. Thank you to everybody for watching and listening. Please like and share and subscribe to this podcast to help us reach a larger audience.
Keep us posted.
Absolutely.
I want to continue to be in the audience of your life.
Absolutely.
It's a hell of a show.
It really is. Really is.
Amen.